Greetings, lovely people, and welcome to Fast Track Thoughts. Today we're going to be talking about The Boys, Season 3, Episode 3, Barbary Coast. So spoilers ahead for the episode, and yeah, let's just jump straight into it. So we actually start this episode in a bit of a different way to how I've been setting up the other ones, with a flashback to 17 years ago, and that is a flashback to Starlight's pageant days, which we've, I believe, seen a bit of. I can't properly remember, but I believe it's something we have seen, like, in the past. And, yeah, we see Kid Starlight do Hit Me Baby One More Time, which, it's supposed to be questionable, but yes, it's questionable. And, yeah, that just cuts straight into... It basically is used... I'm going to ruin the very ending. It's basically used to show what Starlight does when she's stressed, which is clench her fist behind her back. That comes up a little bit later, and I'll get to that. But yeah, we then cut to the now, the modern day, with the Homelander rant on a bunch of different screens, and Starlight is watching it and appears to have cried at some point or been some way upset. Ashley is just panicking, running around, turns out trying to find Homelander, who's in his office. She goes into, Homelander's room, office, whatever you want to call it, and he's just naked, watching his speech, as is. He complains that she didn't knock, but then asks that she stays to tell him the information. And that information is that Homelander is up 21 points with his, demographic or whatever. 44% uptick with white Rust Belt males. So, the racists, essentially. The white nationalist types. And yeah, Homelander is just getting off to that information. He's just jacking off in front of Ashley to the compliments that he's getting about his speech and how it's empowering and stuff like that. Because... Homelander's a... Yeah. Starlight and Homelander combined have a 98% approval rating or whatever, or people like them 98% of the time or whatever, which is unprecedented. Obviously, that's higher than we heard Starlight was alone, and she was already said to be a record. So 98%, obviously a new record with them combined, with them as a team, as a co-ord, I guess. And, yeah, that's just setting up disaster in the future. But yeah, Butcher's got a V hangover, which obviously, we saw him take the V last episode. So yeah, he's struggling with the aftermath of the powers. He does still have them at this point, but they are fading, I think. Maybe, it's hard to tell. And we get Express Yourself by NWA. So I don't think that's the original Express Yourself, though I could be wrong because I can never remember. But that plays. It's a really good song. I do love that song. We do have back with Frenchie and Kimiko, as was said in last episode, and Butcher isn't pissed at Huey because Huey joins them as well. They all just mess about, and Butcher just makes fun of Huey a lot, and then Huey gets Kimiko to break his arm so that he can skip work. Because that's the sane thing to do. But yeah, it's because he knows that Newman could probably tell that he wasn't actually sick, so he had to do something legitimate so that she would actually allow it, sort of thing. So a broken arm, it'll do. Yeah, that's really the setup for the events with the actual boys this time. So yeah, we go back to talking about American Hero, the reality show that Starlight hosts, and Ashley too, who was introduced last episode, is apparently some level of LGBTQ. So she's gay or she's lesbian or bisexual, whatever you want to say, because she finds one of the female contestants to be hot. So or fuckable is the word that she says. But yeah, that's basically it. Starlight wants to pick certain members for the team. Ashley 1, as I'm going to refer to her, the main Ashley, doesn't think that's a good idea, but it is what it is, and Starlight is confident that she has overarching power to choose who gets picked. But yeah, on to Frenchie's little side quest that he has in this episode. Frenchie's ex, I guess, Cherie, I believe, like, I don't know if that's a nickname. Multiple characters use that name for her, so I assume that's just her name. But Shelly is very panicked. She's in big trouble with some drug runners. I do have the name written down later, but I can't see it in my notes, which is annoying. But yeah, Frenchie basically just refuses to go with her to wherever she's going, but gives her a presumably fake passport so she can actually get out of the country. And that is probably the last we'll see of her. Maybe not. It's hard to say. Oh, wow. Going back to the whole Starlight stuff, though, Starlight essentially begs for Alex. I've completely blanked on what his superhero name is, even though that's what I've referred to him in the last 2 episodes. But yeah, her ex, Alex, the superhero that's on American Hero, she begs him not to join the Seven, mostly because of what Homelander could do. And he basically says, like, it's been his dream to always be part of the Seven, so it's something that he wants to do and stuff. So, yeah. By the end of the episode, he does join them, but I'll get to that in a second. A-Train's brother turns up at the hospital that A-Train went to for presumably a checkup. Talks about how it's basically a Russian roulette sort of thing, with whether he runs. Like, if he runs, he could have another heart attack, or he could be completely fine. It's hard to say. Like, it's really a coin flip at this point. But then Kimiko and Ryan, so all the boys have gone to meet up with the Colonel, other than Frenchie, because he's on his little side mission. And through that, Kimiko and Ryan have a bit of a heart-to-heart about powers, how Kimiko doesn't really like hers, Ryan doesn't like his either, how Kimiko's hurt people, Ryan's scared to have a dog because he doesn't want to hurt it by accident, that sort of thing. And, yeah, Butcher confronts Grace about all the, Newman stuff and the Soldier Boy stuff and everything else. And we find out it was Operation Charlie. We have the song Rock You Like a Hurricane, very good song. And we find out that Grace, through a flashback, Grace helped the Contra to sell coke to fund the war effort against the Russians at the time. And we have a flashback to 1984 with a young Stan Edgar, who is actually taking payback around the place to try and get them into the military sort of thing. Black Noir is revealed to actually be an African American, which is very cool. Not expected at all, and honestly, I didn't think we'd ever see Black Noir without his face looking like Deadpool. But yeah, we see him pre-issues with his face, which is fascinating. The story is unfortunately stopped because Butcher is sick on V. He doesn't tell anyone, but that is what's up with him. And then we cut over back to the American Hero stuff. As I say, with this series, it jumps all over the place. Homelander wants the Deep back, which obviously Starlight refuses initially. And then Homelander threatens mass destruction of the government and all connectivity within the US, and then just to destroy New York for the fun of it. And it kind of backs her down, and she kind of has to just accept what Homelander wants. The Deep... how am I going to say this? He fucks in front of a fish tank, and he gets off, even though he's fucking his wife, he gets off watching a squid or an octopus or some sort of tentacled creature. I'm not familiar with sea life that much, but yeah, either a squid or an octopus, one or the other. And yeah, he manages to... that's how he gets off, by watching the squid and communicating with the squid in a way. The Deep is a freak. Butcher still does have his powers, as I said earlier. Huey tells Starlight to stick out, stay in the Seven for now, because they need to know where Homelander is and keep him some level of stable, even though he's losing it all the time. And, yeah, then we actually visit A-Train's brother's family, and everyone just calls A-Train's outfit bad. His new outfit that was introduced last episode, his like African roots outfit, is not doing well. His brother asks him to speak up about all the atrocities, essentially, that Supes especially are doing to the African American community. And he just kind of says that he's more of a Michael Jordan, less of a Malcolm X, which I think is actually a really nice way of putting that. He's too much of a wuss to do anything political, but I also understand the sentiment in there, and that's one of the most humanizing elements of A-Train that we've seen so far. I'm just like, he understands why, like, publicity-wise, why it's good to be, like, you know, BLM, essentially, but he's also very much aware that he's not capable of being that kind of person. It's not who he is, and he knows that, which, I'd say, it humanizes A-Train. He's not a character I particularly like in the show, but moments like this really make me appreciate that he is there, which, I don't know. Characters like Maeve, especially, I just feel like are there for no reason at this point, other than just to be an inside source, even though we have Starlight for that. Anyway, Frenchie is stopped by drug runners. He's on his way back to, I guess, the boys. We then cut back to the boys with Butcher getting control of his power again. Ryan can smell the V in his blood, which is interesting. And they get back to Grace's flashback. So, Payback kill friendlies when they're attacked because the flying one that I didn't write the name down of got spotted by the Russians. Black Noir is just scarred heavily, and that's why he always wears the mask, and that's why, you know, it's not obvious that he's African American. It was referenced in, like, season 1 that he was African American, and we just, like, we've never known that for sure. But yeah, he's badly injured, and yeah, it would definitely make you look like Deadpool to have that happen to you. But yeah, the Russians are revealed to be the ones who killed Soldier Boy with some sort of weapon, and Grace lost hundreds of men in that fight, whereas Soldier Boy and the flying one were the only ones that died of Payback, you know. So the ones that should have been effective, well, I mean, Soldier Boy was just killed because they had a special weapon, presumably, and the flying one was just shot out of the sky because he was a coward and he flew away and then got shot back down with a homing rocket. It is what it is, I guess. And yeah, after that, Butcher then blames Grace for Ryan's fear and Becca's death, essentially, because if Grace had just told Butcher this information earlier, he potentially could have stopped Homelander by now. And then it all leads to Butcher then yelling at Ryan. It's a really horrid scene. Like, Ryan almost lasers Butcher. He eventually just, you know, pulls off his necklace or whatever and just throws it on the ground, just says, "I hate you," and runs off. So that's probably going to take some fixing. But Nina, that's her name, the drug runner, she has Frenchie tied up. She actually frees him pretty quickly. And asks him or tasks him with killing Sherry or bringing Sherry in, and she will actually pay him for it. He kind of refuses it. They also mention how Nina would peg Frenchie, which is just, you know, it's good history. But yeah, Nina just lets him go eventually and just was like, "Think about my offer." That's all she really says. We then go back to the misadventures of the Deep and Homelander, where fish is served to the Deep. Obviously, he kind of refuses to eat it out of, you know, the fact he can talk to them, and like he's friends with a lot of fish and stuff. But then Homelander serves Timothy the Squid, who I didn't bother to check, but could very well be the squid or octopus, whatever. The squid, well, it was definitely a squid because they called it a squid. It could be the one that we saw earlier during the sex scene. It's hard to say. And it's alive. The squid, Timothy the Squid, he's alive. And eventually, after both his wife and Homelander kind of push him, he does eat the squid. It inks all in his mouth and everything. It's a horrid scene. I think that eating anything that's live generally is awful, but you know, we're civil. We should be more civilized than this, you know. But that's beside the point. Kimiko wants her and Frenchie to leave. You know, Butcher and the rest of the boys. Frenchie just kind of can't. You know, that's what he says. But also, Kimiko says that she's only there because of Frenchie. Like, Frenchie is the one that keeps her there. So, you know, it's kind of a sweet scene, but very quickly changes when Butcher gets back and gets Frenchie to set up a meeting with Nina because she's Russian, so can probably help them get into Russia and find the weapon that killed Soldier Boy. So, I guess we're going to Russia at some point in this season. That's going to be interesting. Alex decides to stay to help Starlight, like discusses it with Starlight of just like they need to stay together, they need to stick together, like support each other, ensure neither of them get in trouble with Homelander essentially. Butcher, throws up on Huey's face, which is all fun. And then we come back to American Hero. Homelander claims he and Starlight are in love. And once they do a retake, essentially, Starlight kisses him on camera to sell the effect, but this cuts to her back with her hand clenched, obviously. Really stressed, really scared, really... it's a performance. That's what it is. It's to make Homelander happy and, keep him from killing everyone that she loves, essentially. But yeah, that is how the series ends. The episode ends. And yeah, it's a good one. I, once again, just like the last 2 episodes, really enjoyed this one. I feel like there was almost less to talk about, though, looking at the timestamp right now. It's taken about as long to talk about it. But yeah, overall, like, good episode. I enjoyed it. The flashback stuff, following Payback, and like even the Black Noir stuff was really cool. Just finding out a little bit more about his backstory, because he even speaks in this episode, which I didn't mention. But like, yeah, he speaks. That's something we never hear him do now. It's like there's so much interesting stuff. I'm really interested to see if we hear anything more about Black Noir in the future. But yeah, overall, it's just a very interesting episode, and there's a lot of revelations and a lot of information that will be vital for the rest of the series. Hopefully, I don't even know. I'm not even sure what I'm wanting from the series anymore. I'm really interested in the fallout from Homelander and Starlight kissing. Like, I'm sure that's going to be awful on Huey, and it's going to be interesting. I look forward to the rest of this series, and obviously, as of recording this, there's only one other episode that's out, episode 4, so expect that tomorrow, and then episode 5 will be sometime after that, because I'm recording this before the Friday when episode 5 comes out, so, but yeah, that's really all I have to say about this episode. It was really good. I really enjoyed it, and yeah, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like it, subscribe down here, and ring the bell so you never miss an upload. Obviously, throughout this week, I've had the rest of the boys' stuff, and I'll have the rest of the boys' stuff going up. There should also be a Fast Track Thoughts on the newest Obi-Wan and Miss Marvel episodes. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Depends if I've got around to it. And, yeah, otherwise, that's going to be it from me. So, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time, and, yeah. Bye!
It's been a long week. I feel like I could use a vacation. I can hardly think. It's like the worst song